You know, the broadcast is live. There you go. Welcome to the millions. The millions across the globe who are tuning in to our second edition of the live chat on Owners Who Elevate. Once again, thank you to the millions who are joining us, or even the few that may or may not be joining us. My name is Eric Barron. I am the founder of Owners Who Elevate. I have the privilege of working with two of our fabulous contributors, Albert Baez and Abigail Rose. I think it's Abigail Rose Baez because they are a husband and wife team. I'm super excited to have them here. They are the founders of Blended Sense that we'll get to in a second. Once again, I'm the founder of Owners Who Elevate and Eric Barron Live. I'm super thankful that you're spending a few minutes with us today. If you want to know any more about us, please check out ownerswhoelevate.com. We have groups on Facebook and LinkedIn that you could also join. All that information's there, and we hope to see you. We're going to be starting a whole series of live events in the near future. Those personal invites will be going out to group members. So once again, please join our groups on Facebook and LinkedIn, Owners Who Elevate. Okay, without further ado, because you're not here to listen to me today, we have two experts in the content world, particularly the video content world. So first and foremost, give us the 20, 30-second elevator pitch on Blended Sense.
Is that my cue? Thanks for having us, Eric. Nothing better to do on a Thursday at 1. Is it 1 p.m.? I think my computer's in Central Time.
We are Eastern. I know you're Eastern. Yes, we are Eastern. And you're in New York right now, which is great. So.
Oh, I love it. Thanks again for having us. So Blended Sense is a media tech platform, first of its kind. We match the right creative pros to the right projects anytime, anywhere across the country. And today we're servicing small and medium business owners. They're the backbone of our economy. And in today's marketplace and landscape, they've been basically pushed to the edge of having to be a media company as well, on top of everything else that they do. And with that, we feel like the demand has accelerated for them to produce content, but the supply has not met those demands. And so we're really filling in that gap, helping these two groups that are, we believe, in isolation in the same community, needing each other, helping them do better business together on our platform.
Right. And if you want to know more, blendedsense.com. Correct?
That is right. And at awesome. Blended Sense on all the socials.
At Blended Sense and all the socials. And right, this is one of the reasons we're actually, I founded Owners Who Elevate, right? Is to cut through all the clutter and the amount of information that's overwhelming to a business owner. And what you created is doing the same thing from a content perspective, right? Because it's overwhelming and you make it a lot easier to implement. So first question I have, husband and wife team with the new baby. Congratulations. How did you found a company and stay married? Because I'm sure there are other couples out there or other people that are working in businesses with their close relatives, and many people find it challenging. What have you found? What's been the biggest aha? And how do you actually make it work?
So I thought of this whole season of a podcast that we did during the pandemic called Tea with Abby. In the second season, I only interviewed people who were in relationships and forming companies together. So brothers and sisters, husband and wives, parents and their children. And I mean, the biggest equalizer between all of that is empathy. Because it's not going to look like what you thought it was going to look like. And it's not going to be all rainbows. And I think the biggest thing that we've learned, especially with the fact that we're also raising a child and, more often than not, we're working from home and we're having to create these boundaries of imaginary lines between where the family stops and where does the work begin and where does work end and family time begin. And then what we found for us is being really intentional with our time when we are together, and really intentional with our time when we are in partnership mode. And we wouldn't be able to be partners in business if we were not willing to put in the work to be partners in our relationship. And that's acknowledging the other person's strengths and getting out of the way so they can bring what they're good at to the table. And, knowing when to table something and save it for later, because at the end of the day, especially if you have employees and things like that, you still have to show up as a united front. And so if you're experiencing any issues in your relationships, they will leak through and be very evident in your business. And so something, in practical terms, how that plays out is, Sundays are very sacred to us. And it's an entire family dedicated day. And we make sure that our son gets all the attention and love that we can give him. And then, we try during the week, end of the workday is a pretty ambiguous time, right, for any founder. But if we can sit down and have a family meal, phones are down, and we get that opportunity to just kind of connect right before bedtime. We try to hold these things sacred because it's all in, and you have to be willing to know that your business is going to be a large part of your relationship. So you better like each other.
Two things I just want to make sure everybody heard, because you said a lot there. I
got a lot to say about it, Eric. Whew.
No, but seriously, I because hey, the whole purpose of this is sharing really tangible bites that people can begin implementing in their business today. And two things that stood out there to me are boundaries. Got to have boundaries. Just put down the phone. It's okay to turn off the phone. It's okay to not, turn off the alerts on your emails and all the pings that make us crazy and those knee-jerk reactions. And united front, particularly when you have employees.
And that's the hardest one, because you're two different people. We come from Albert and I come from extremely different backgrounds. New York City, small town girl. We are the lyrics of the midnight train, went to the city, going anywhere, So there's a lot of humility involved to create a united front, a lot of humbling yourself and admitting when you're wrong, and, swallowing your pride sometimes to do what's best for the business, because ultimately in doing that, it is what's best for your relationship as well.
Oh, I love that. Because I'm also thinking united front, whether you're a husband and wife or anybody else, the leadership team should always be united front, whether you're related or not, because when you're not united, the rest of your staff and your partners in the team feels it.
Yes.
And it surely doesn't increase productivity. That's for sure. Albert,
I'll say,
okay.
I was just going to say one small thing.
Please.
It makes it, if you let it actually makes you so much better at business, because the typical savage world that business is, right? I was in 3 different startups, they all had exits. They grew. I saw one go to 1,000 employees, and that the rhythm that you get into in that world, and then you start a company with your spouse, right? There's so much more empathy and understanding and better communication that comes into it, because that's what you have to do at home, right? You can't talk to your wife the way you talk to a colleague, and vice versa. And so it just brings that balance and awareness that there needs to be more empathy in the room when it comes to business.
We both said the word empathy. That's why you're married. Okay. Love it. Love it. Love it. Let's get down to content and some additional business matters. It's overwhelming, right? Where do I start? What questions, before I get started, before I just throw myself into it? Because a lot of people just say throw yourself into it, but I'm sure there's a couple of simple questions people could ask themselves before I begin creating content, particularly video content. What are some of those things I should ask myself? And I'm going to let you're the husband and wife team. You guys can fight this out. I don't care who answers. I'm sure you both have something.
I'll throw 2 things and I'll kick it over to Abby. Number one is who's the audience, right? If we're doing it for business, and we should know our avatars, right? We should have some idea of who it is that we're trying to do business with. If you don't, one thing that I have found to be super helpful is go back and look at your last 10 transactions, right? Who are these people? What is the common denominator? And when you find out who that audience is, the second piece is, okay, what's the purpose of this content? What am I trying to actually communicate with this target audience, this avatar, and this customer?
Totally, Al. And I think we'll just keep going. We're flying solo, I'm pretty sure. I'm I bet Eric will get connected in just a second. I like that. I think that your answer, Albert, might actually come after my answer. Oh, it looks like Eric's trying to get connected now. We'll just keep going. Eric, if you can hear us, we're here. We're doing okay. So what Albert said is super accurate, but what you can do is apply that to what you're already doing today. So take a look at your daily routine, how you're servicing your customers or clients today, what kinds of scheduling practices, processes are already in place that exist already that you can simply take advantage of, creating content around those things that you're already doing every single day anyways. And how can you simplify this idea that I need to create this original idea to put online and just say, what am I already doing right now that's bringing value, and how do I capture that in the easiest way? So that might be for our bread and butter customer, a real estate agent, maybe they have a long drive every day to their brokerage, or they're in the car a lot visiting, going to different listings, and they get on their phone and they just start leaving audio notes for themselves that they could then put on top of an image later. Hey, Eric, we kept going without you.
What happened?
We believed we could fly solo.
Are you guys still there?
We are. We were still going too.
Are we live?
We're. I don't think we ever lost it.
That's awesome. You could go solo. I'm going to go take a nap. This is awesome.
You deserve one. So Albert had answered the question by saying, really understanding like who and what this content is for, who are you trying to affect and impact? It's a great question to ask yourself. And then the question that I was answering is, what are you already doing today that you can take advantage of? And so do you have habits in place, processes? Is there some sort of team meeting that you can start recording? Is there, you're going to listings every day as a real estate agent. Can you get in the car and start leaving little audio notes of tips and tricks you can do? And just create around what you're already doing today. You don't have to feel the pressure to make something new if you've never done it before. Just start with where you're at.
I just want to reinforce those two things. Once again, that's what I'm here for. I'm listening like the audience. And avatar, one of my favorite words. We've talked about, I think yesterday when we met, if you're speaking to everybody, you're speaking to nobody. Mm-hmm. People are so afraid to lose clients, which I think is, once again, there's no right or wrong. I'm a big fan of going narrow and deep. I think it's a huge mistake when you spray and pray. Oh my God, I'm going to lose a deal. Well, is it okay to lose a deal to get 5 more? Not just 5 more, 5 more of the clients you actually want to work with. So I think we could do a whole session on building an avatar. I mean, so I love that.
My favorite, Eric, you dropped, I don't know if you heard it, but my favorite is when I hear from an agent, oh, I don't know who that is. I'm like, all right, well, how many deals did you do last year? Oh, I did 10 deals. Great. Who were those 10 people? Right? What's the common denominator? What if 7 out of those 10 people are 40-year-old, single males moving to a new city? Well, guess what? 40-year-old single males moving to a new city might be your avatar, right?
I had a conversation with someone yesterday, and they're a plastic surgeon. I was at my son's baseball game, and who's your client? Anyone that needs plastic surgery. Accurate, but not accurate. Once again, right? I mean, there are specialists in certain types of surgery, even though they could do it all. I'm sure they have certain types of clients they would prefer more so than others, whether some procedures are more exciting to them, to be quite frank, some are more profitable, whatever it may be, some are more useful and helpful. So it's really narrowing down and getting hyper-focused on the type of work you want to do, whether you're a lawyer, whether you're an accountant, whatever it may be. So love the avatar. And I love what you said, Abby, as it relates to you don't have to reinvent new things today. You're already doing things in your daily life that you could tell a story around. Mm-hmm. So now what I'm hearing is just increase the awareness. Like, completely. Oh, where I am right now, like what a great background. And I'm about to go talk to a client. I'm on a sales call. Let me give a quick sales tip because you're already in sales mode. So
Mhm.
just be aware of everything you're doing every day and going, oh my God, I have so many opportunities to
Yeah.
create content.
And then in relation to what you just said about the plastic surgeon, so say he's looking for the ideal client is I'll use the closest thing to me, a mother who's looking for a mommy makeover, right? She's had her kids, she's ready for a mommy makeover. So what are the things that appeal to her about your particular office? Oh, your office gives you a hot towel and some really nice massage service. I don't know. Is it the aesthetics? There's gorgeous art. There's a water, the feeling she has when she walks in. So just look around. What is already appealing to that customer and just show that off.
So smart, right? Because you walk in some offices and they're sterile. So, and that's okay for certain types of clients, right?
Right.
Wow, clean. That's all they care about.
Exactly. And so you could, there's show an overhead point of view of cleaning tools. Like content can be literally anything. And the point is to get eyes on your brand, whether that's you as a person or, entire business. And for someone to say, oh, cool, I can relate to that. I want to learn more.
Awesome.
And that can be anything.
Next question. Because a lot of people are looking for perfection, or a lot of people are thinking to themselves, like myself, I'm too pale for video, or I don't like my voice, right? So let's talk about, there's 20 best practices for producing engaging video content. Give me 3 of your favorite best practices.
One of the most practical things you can do is slow down when you are recording video content. So when you hit, sorry, we have a chihuahua too. It's a full house over here. So when you go to record something, you might feel the sense of urgency in it. I'm going to, video and photo used to be so finite. You literally had to have film. You had to spend money to go somewhere and develop film. And a picture, you had to get that picture pose right, because that was 1 out of 20 photos you might be able to take on your disposable camera. Well, now guess what? Your phone can hold a ridiculous amount of content. And so you can do things over and over, and you can slow the process down. And by doing that, you're giving yourself more to play with. So when you press record, say you're just doing a quick selfie video, let that selfie, once you hit record, let 2 to 3 seconds of almost nothing go by. Just kind of compose yourself and take that beat and then begin. And same way at the end, instead of feeling like I just got to finish my sentence and hurry up and stop it. Allow yourself to have the ending as well. And this, if that's a solo piece of content, is going to give it a really nice bookend, a start and a finish. And if you're editing these clips into a sequence, that gives you more to work with when you're on your phone. But just the idea of like, I can slow myself down. You're in control. The camera's not in control. You're using it as your tool. I don't know where I was going with that note.
No, but I love it. It is because most of us feel rushed. Like, I got to be quick. I'm told it has to be under a minute. I'm told it has to be 30 seconds. Let me get everything out. Well, if you have that much to say, then you could do 5 30-second clips.
There you go.
Everybody feels the need. So not just slow it down, less is more, particularly in today's society where people are absorbing less.
100%.
So, that's definitely a great best practice. I also love that little nuance, right? Let 2 or 3 seconds pass at the beginning, at the end, because it also gives you a lot more flexibility, because a lot of what you guys do at Blended Sense is editing. So love that. Okay, that's best practice 1. Give me 2 more best practices.
I know this is going to sound super cliche, but I believe it, especially someone who didn't believe it and then moved to Austin, Texas and kind of was immersed in it. We're all creative. Every single one of us on earth has creativity in us. And in this time as business owners we're given an opportunity to lean into that. And the way that can kind of translate, and when you're creating content as a business owner, is creative thinking about what you're trying to create. Just take a moment, draft some stuff, write free write, right? In your, whether it's digital on your, I'm a digital guy. I'm on notes nonstop, right? And that doesn't make it any less than if I do it on paper or vice versa. And so I would just say that come to the agreement with me that we are all creative, that everyone watching this it has creativity inside of them, and then lean into that. This doesn't have to be so, our goal here is for awareness and to connect, right, with content, with the right audience. And so we wouldn't go into conversations in real life without empathy and creativity in that conversation, right? Social awareness, right? And so I think it's the same thing with creating content. We don't have to be so rigid around it. Take a moment. I think it's kind of to what Abby was saying, is like, let the idea breathe. Write it down, right?
So what I'm hearing real quick, so I want to get to the third one, and we have three more questions to ask you, and we have 10 minutes. So what I heard was, number one, it's a little bit mindset. It's kind of like saying when I talked to Chris Heller last time, it's like everyone's got leadership in them, right? And everyone's got a different type of leadership style. Same thing here. Everyone can be a creative to create content because they are unique. Number one. The other thing I heard you say, and I really hope people heard that, because when I used to do comedy, let's not go there right now, I used to carry my joke book around, because anything out there that made me think of something, we're going to forget it. And back then, there were no notes in the iPhone in the late 90s. And I had my joke book, and most comedians had their joke book. And even if it was 3 words I wrote down that I could formulate a whole piece around, same thing with creating content. You're out there, you're going to forget, oh, that's a great idea. 3 words, so you can go home that night and start crafting and outlining. By the way, not scripting. Please, my piece of advice here is, please don't script your video content, right? To me, people remember the beginning and the end. They rarely remember the middle. So if you look at all your content as a beginning, middle, end, and what's the takeaway for the audience, you relax a lot more, saying, oh my God, I need to get every...
Did Eric just freeze for you?
He did. Poor Eric is having a day over there with the internet.
Let's go to the third one then.
Okay.
I was going to say make time for it as a third one. I don't know what you. I mean, that's an obvious one, but I think
that has to be consistent. You have to. It's not just about making time. It's about being.
Well,
consistent.
It's got to be part of your essential part of your business, right? That's the part that I think is still.
You froze.
Yeah,
I'm back. I'm supposedly back.
We went to the third one.
Good. Did you finish it?
Well, Albert was talking about, making the time, and I was adding on making consistent time, which I think is great. I had a different third one, which is specific. When people think content, they're obviously, first thinking a lot of social media content. At Blended Sense, we do content across the board. So educational, marketing, social media, internal training, you name it. But when people think content, they think social media. And when they think of that, they go, oh my God, there's so many kinds. There's people talking, there's people dancing, there's people showing off, there's instructional videos, like there's people with just text on screen. There's so many trends. You don't have to do them all. And you don't have to do them all first. So say you find something that's really attractive. You've always really wanted to try some of these lip syncing trends. What's working works for a reason, and go for it. Try it out. And maybe you don't do anything else. There's this real estate group that I am obsessed with on TikTok right now. None of their content has to do with real estate. All they do is make up dances to like retro songs. And these dances are really ridiculous and outlandish, and they're so simple. And there's no real estate content whatsoever on their page, but it's showing off the personality of this dad and his 3 sons. And it goes, man, that's the vibe I want to work with. And so that's your goal there.
Right. And that's the same where we talked about earlier in Avatar, right? If you don't like that, don't work with them. So it's right. If you like that, like, oh, I totally want to work with them, right? There's a personality behind the expertise.
Where there's one, there's many. Right.
Okay, let's go. We got 6 minutes. So let's do some rapid fire. 2 to 3 of the biggest mistakes people make when getting started that you found.
Not starting.
Okay, I'll give you that one.
Obvious.
Okay.
Overthinking and like what you said, Eric, about scripting yourself out. So over planning. You're not going out to make an Oscar nominated film. There's no reason that this needs to be beat by beat, shot for shot. Come up with a plan. You definitely should have a plan and outline, and then allow yourself to go with the flow.
So, okay, so what I heard from there is big mistake, and you hear this a lot, that people are doing this on a regular basis, is what's my content calendar, right? Because there's got to be some consistency, and people get to know you that every Wednesday you're putting out this type of content, and there's a familiarity to that, and there's an education to that, and that's how you start to gain a following. So what I'm heard is, number one, get started. Number two, consistency. Number three, there's a plethora of information out there. I think there's even a free download on your site about a sample content calendar, right? There is, right? I'm not crazy. So start thinking about what your calendar could and should look like. So what else? Another big mistake that you're seeing, and it could be it could be super micro when you're seeing people sending recordings, like simple, first thing, one of the things I think of, lighting, right? Lighting doesn't need to be perfect, but it shouldn't be like, where's a happy medium? Even before we got on today, I was like, ooh, one side of my face is lighter than the other. And of course, I'm going to obsess about it, but the audience is barely going to notice it. Well, now they are, because I just brought it up. But so it's the little things that stop people. So give me a micro tip from the video content that people record that is a mistake that you see often.
Yeah, well, when it comes to lighting, one of the things we see is people record with bright light behind them, and that blows out the image, which makes it really hard to edit or to make that image usable. And so you always want bright light in front of you coming from this side, whether it's a window.
This is a great teaching moment right here. Albert is in a room that only has overhead lighting. It doesn't have any natural lighting, and obviously it's fine. I intentionally came in front of a window, and I'm allowing natural light to shine on my face. And we have some content about this too. But I mean, if you think you look funny on camera, change your lighting. It's probably the lighting, because you're a great person. You deserve to be on camera.
So with lighting, give me one other micro tip like that. Lighting and
I would say stability. So when in doubt, put your phone down and put it up on something. You don't need to go out and buy a fancy gimbal. That's fine. Instead of doing a handheld thing and creating some shake, it's that, like, ever so slightly bumps up the professionalism. Put the phone down. Let the phone be in a stable place.
And once again, if you want to get fancy, go get a gimbal. Frankly, what I do when I'm in the city, I literally steady my hand on the top of a car.
That's awesome.
And I just do that because a lot of,
and that's an aesthetic too, the moving and the walking. So it really, again, your audience, what do you know they want to see? If you're kind of trying to, like Albert said, attract that, a customer who is single and on the hustle and he's in the grind, cool. Maybe on the go with movement is good. If you want that more refined customer, stable the camera and show that you're giving them a refined product.
And there's a quick tip as well. What do we know? And it doesn't matter what you think or what we think. It matters what your audience thinks. So why not A/B test? Do 6 walking, 6 stable, and see where you get a bigger audience. Not one-on-one. One's not a big enough sample. But do a whole series of different types of videos and see where people engage. Because once again, it doesn't matter what any of us thinks. It matters what our clients think. Okay. I'm overwhelmed. I am overwhelmed. I'm a business owner. I got a lot to do. Whether you have 50-person staff or you're a self-employed business owner. You can't just say get started, because you've used that one already. What's the one thing I can do to start moving forward today? How do I unblock?
Man, the number one thing I'm seeing, and it's kind of playing into the get started thing, but businesses are still, the small, medium business owners are still not understanding how essential and embedded video is in what they need to do for their business today and moving forward. And so the same way that we take our meeting with our accountant seriously, the same way that we take our meeting with our employees seriously, that same approach, whether it's uncomfortable or not to us, we have to, as business owners, start to lean into that and have the conversation, right? That could just be a bullet point in a meeting. Just start there. Let's have the conversation. Hey guys, content is important. How does everybody feel about it? How do we start doing it? Just start having the conversation, because if you're not having the conversation, you are just leaving so much opportunity on the table. And the fact of the matter is, as digital continues to become the biggest presence in business, you're going to be left behind. All right. And the small, medium business owner often gets left behind. And I think this thing of production is the one thing that they should not be, because it's so cost effective, right? And it costs $0 to distribute this content.
So since your wife is the boss of the family, I want to give her the final word. You could answer that question. You could answer a question of if people, once again, the millions watching and tuning in, if there's one thing they could leave with today, one thing, what would that be?
It's the thing that I struggle with the most, which is ironic because my craft is as an actor. That's how I came into Blended Sense. We are our own worst critics. We will always think the worst things about ourselves. We will always think things about ourselves that our audience and our clients and customers will never, ever think about us. And so if you're being held back by your own thoughts, I want to encourage you to find a way to work through that, because it is in your head and you're always going to tell yourself the worst story. And what I have to remind myself daily is that every single one of us actually does have something of value to bring. And there is someone out there who wants to hear it. And if it's one person or if it's a million people, we all have the opportunity every day to affect at least one person with kindness and empathy and love. And we can do that in our business. And so don't hold back, and don't hide yourself from the world, because you deserve to be out there and you need it. You need to be out there.
So I want to expand on that, because it's also holds me back a little bit. And I guess it'll be my final word, but before thank you, is you put out content and you see 3 people like it. And you say to yourself, holy shit, no one likes me. No one's listening. I'm awful. And how about reversing that and saying 3 people took the time to watch my content and give me some love, because those 3 people will eventually turn into 3,000. If you show those 3 people the love and not simply say to yourself, fuck it, I'm done. Only 3 people watched it. How about showing those 3 people some love? And then as you continue to build your audience, it'll be a little bit more challenging to share love to your thousands, but you've built up a foundation, right, of authenticity, of building these relationships with clients that will continue helping you build your business. Because that's a big pet peeve of mine. I put something out like, ooh, 4 people liked it. What did I do wrong? So that's a big ending point for me today. Thank you, Albert and Abigail. I love you guys. What I said to Chris last time as well, what I love about you, besides everything else, is that you're great human beings. Thank you for being an early adopter of Owners Who Elevate and one of our founding contributors. We're just getting started. So if you want to know more, please visit ownerswhoelevate.com. We have a group on Facebook. We have a group on LinkedIn. We also have Owners Who Elevate on IG, if that's your preferred social media platform. We are just getting started. So please join us. Thank you, guys. I can't appreciate you more.
Thank you so much, Eric. We loved it.
Awesome. Have a great Thursday, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.